45 seconds left. Your thoughts on what people should keep an eye on during what is this?
All right, thank you for coming to the Breaking Rules Publishing first Poetry Slam. I'd like to welcome everybody who's here, and I'd like to kind of just reach out to everyone and say, whoever wants to go can go. There's really no lineup there. I had one, but it's kind of all mixed up now. So why don't we just start up in the corner and we'll work our way around and start with John. John, why don't you just kind of tell everyone who you are again and tell us about your book. I'm sorry, Chella, what?
How long do we have to read?
You can, I was thinking up to like 10 minutes if you had like a 10-minute, but you don't have to take up that much time if you don't want to.
Right.
So tell us about yourself, tell us about your book, what you're writing, and then read us a couple poems. Good? John, you go first.
Okay, this is my book. It's called God, Family, Freedom, and a book of poetry. And I thought it would be appropriate to start off, since you've got December 7th coming right around the corner. We start off with what I call Remembering Pearl Harbor. The sea was calm, the sky pure blue, and the sand sparkled in the sun. Serenity reigned over a harbor called Pearl in December of '41. The sound of breaking waves on the shores, the sun arose in the east, seemed to whisper to all who woke that morn, give thanks. Your world is at peace. But far to the north of this tranquil scene, death was riding on wings of steel, and a different sun would rise that day, and the sword of war it would wield. Out in the harbor, the USS Ward on patrol when a lookout announced. A periscope he thought he spied, and upon that target she pounced. Depth charges were dropped. A submarine sunk and all aboard were lost. It was the first shot fired that fateful day, and the start of a terrible cost. There in the harbor on Battleship Row lay the pride of the U.S. fleet, strong and proud and stout of heart, never tasted defeat. Then just as Old Glory was raised on high, coming low from out of the sun, came the roar of the Zeros, the blast of the bombs, and a rat-a-tat-tat of the guns. Fish made of steel from the belly of Cates made their headlong dash for the ships. And as each found their prey on the harbor that day, gray ladies became sailors' crypts. The Arizona went up with a roar when a bomb hit the ship's magazine. And there she lies where she died that day, grim reminder of that ghastly scene. At Hickam and Wheeler, it was like shooting ducks with planes lined up in a row. None was spared. They were all shot to hell as fighters swept in fast and low. 2 hours and 2, it was over and done, and back to the Japanese fleet where Banzai was shouted. The Gumi smiled, for the taste of victory is sweet. But victory sweet would soon turn sour, for the eagle from ashes did rise. And though badly wounded, it was clear to all before long he'd take to the skies. Then came Midway and Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima and Tulagai. Vengeance would come to the rising sun from land and sea on high. After 3 years and 9 months of battle, the Eagle settled a score. Surrender was signed on mighty Moe's deck, and the sounds of war were no more. Now decades have passed since the Japanese struck at the home of the brave and the free. Time for all to stop and recall that dark day of infamy. So, let us give thanks to those who gave all you daughters, brothers, and sons, and never forget what happened that day in December of '41.
Interesting.
I like that. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like a movie. You painted a picture for us, and you took us right there to the scene, gave us the history. Yeah. And I felt like I was born in December of 1941. So that time is very precious for me. Although I was too young, obviously, to be in the war, it's always been a point of notice. That's not what I want to say, but it's always something that I carry around in my life because I was born in that month and that year, Christmas Day. But thank you.
Yes, it means a lot to me also. My grandfather was there. I think he was on the Oklahoman, but I could be wrong there. But that was the one morning he decided to go to church. So he was actually off the boats when it got attacked.
Wow.
I could tell you one quick story here about a friend of mine who was in Pearl Harbor that day. The day before, he and a bunch of buddies went into town, and they had their fill. They came back. They were coming back to their ship, and as they were going back to the ship on December 6th, they were singing a song. The song was, "You don't have to set. We don't want to set the world on fire." And the next day, the world went up in smoke.
Mm.
That's crazy. John, do you have another one that you can read?
Yeah, I do. Hold on here, I'll come up with it here. This is called, this one, the words for this are actually, I used to write Christmas country songs. And these are the lyrics from a song I wrote called Christmas Years Ago. We knelt beside our children as they said their evening prayers, then tucked them in to whisper, Santa Claus will soon be here. As we placed the presents neath a glowing Christmas tree, memories of a Christmas past kept coming back to me. There was a baseball bat, a cowboy hat, and 6 guns neath a tree. Sister held her baby doll and bounced on Daddy's knee. An electric train went chugging round. I could hear the whistle blow. That was Christmas morning at our house years ago. After breakfast, we'd get dressed. To Grandma's house we'd go, all decked out in our new clothes, driving through the snow. The Christmas goose was cooking. Outside, the world was white. We couldn't wait to tell Grandpa what Santa left last night. That night with Mom and Dad, we knelt beside our bed to pray, and we gave thanks to Jesus Christ, born on Christmas Day. Now I know that through the years, some thoughts will fade away, but in my mind, I see that time. It was yesterday. So tonight, when my eyes close and dreams again, I'll know the love and joy my family shared one Christmas years ago. There was a baseball bat, a cowboy hat, and 6 guns beneath the tree. Sister held her baby doll and bounced on Daddy's knee. An electric train went chugging round. I can hear the whistle blow. That was Christmas morning at our house years ago. Yes, that was Christmas morning at our house years ago.
Strong memories there in that one.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's what a lot of it is. It's set in that which we saw years ago, which I'm writing about what I saw. But I dare say that when I was reciting that, each of you saw a little bit of your Christmas years ago.
Thank you.
The strongest component, I think, to both the pieces is you're really good at telling a story in a way where we're the main characters. The listeners are the main characters in that story, even though we never were that person. And I just really like that I'm there, both in Pearl Harbor and both in your Christmas. I'm experiencing it with all this other stuff too. I don't know. I think that's interesting.
That's a great observation.
That is a great observation. Very cool, Matthew.
I want to give a message to you. If you're going to start writing, do it now. Don't wait till you're our age to start.
Oh, I do write a lot.
Okay.
I just don't have it. I'm working on things. I just don't got an actual book yet. I'm not. I got plenty of stuff. I just don't have. Publishing's hard. Getting a book out's hard.
Well,
that's it.
Is hard.
It can be very easy.
I started writing at 19. I've had stacks, but I never followed through and I never pushed through. And here I am almost 50 when I started.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't just let the stacks grow, because there's a good chance life happens and those stacks will disappear tomorrow.
Right.
And
Get it down.
I'm in college right now too, and my next semester, a lot of it has to do with revising, editing for this chapbook I'm making, so that way I can. It's like a directed study with just me and English professor. I'm just next semester or this, I guess this coming year is just me submitting this chapbook I have,
Nice.
or working on finishing up, getting it ready, and hopefully getting it out, winning a contest or something. Because I
Well,
think that's like.
This might be
Easiest
kismet
direct-
for you, Matthew, because I'm a professional editor. Christopher is the CEO of Breaking Rules Publishing, a small press. So there is opportunity for you.
This is why I come to these things.
Very cool.
I read a good essay. I read a good essay years ago about the craft of writing. And in that essay, they said of all the art forms, that writing was the most democratic art form because the writer supplies 50% of whatever it is you're looking at, and you're supplying the other 50%. If I say the words, let's say I come up with a sentence, she padded slowly across the dimly lit bedroom. Okay, that's a sentence, a simple sentence. But you picture it, every one of you that just heard that sentence pictures that room a different way, how she padded, was there a carpet there, was she wearing slippers, was she in a robe, how dimly lit was the room, where was the bed located, is that where she was heading? You guys fill all that in. The writer just gives you the outline, the sketch. It's almost like paint by number. You've got that outline, but you fill it all in. So be careful when you're doing your editing. Step back from it when you're writing stuff and take a look at it. See what you have in there that's worth leaving in there and what's worth taking out, knowing that the reader will probably fill in that blank that you left in there.
That's an interesting way to put that. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's one of the biggest things I like to do. Leave things for the reader to. The reader is smarter than you think. The listener is smarter than you think. Let them imagine. Never take away one's ability to imagine.
Right.
Absolutely.
Very cool. John, or excuse me, Bob, since we have you talking, why don't you go ahead and start now?
Well, John had read that poem about Pearl Harbor, and it brought up a quick poem that I've got in this book here, which is Fragments of Oblivion, collected works from 77 to 2020. This particular piece is called Memorial Day. Memorial Day, a solemn observation of those who gave their lives fighting wars of variable necessity, is now reduced to a holiday, celebrated as a day off, a 3-day weekend with festive ballyhoo at beaches, amusement parks, and backyard gatherings around beer coolers and smoky, lofty grills in the sparse afternoon breeze across the oblivious landscape, neglected monuments, planted flags, and forgotten tombs of those forever on patrol. Yeah, that's how we look at Memorial Day now, just a 3-day weekend.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Now, since we're on the internet, I'll read this other poem. My frustration with Facebook came out one day. And this is called
Really?
Internet Ballet. The town criers fill the courtyard, clutching pearls of useless wisdom while painting walls with shrill echoes. The daily ritual, hourly sometimes, girds itself against the plague, driving them to this redundant forum. The graffiti-plastered handbills wear thin, and the stale atmosphere, a Pompeii of dead relics and frozen discourse. The stray troubadour, with a differing tune, is quickly shunted from the courtyard. Repetitive order restored, hearts and likes and winks are passed around like communion wafers during absolution. My feet hurt on this pavement, ears ache from the cries as my eyes bleed from the dull visage provided. Simple freedom is just a click away, a mouse stealing off, knowing nothing is over by half.
That is cool.
That is cool.
The internet.
Excuse me. Nice. So Noah, I'm really interested to hear some of your stuff.
Okay. So my stuff is very short. It's 7 lines. You can go 9 lines, 11 lines. You go up to 5, 6, or 7 and come back down to 1, but depends on your mood. I just let my mood follow. My mood push me, my inspiration push me. And I'll give you my favorite haiku poem. It's called Beauty. Beauty surrounds us everywhere we look. Anywhere the birds sing, in the bounty that nature creates, as a counterpoint to sadness in life, choose life's beauty. I have another one. It's my signature poem, haiku poetry. Haiku is poetry, life and love, celebrating the human spirit. People are searching for balance. Cultural walls hamper peace, hindering real possibilities. Understanding is haiku.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
It's profound.
Profound. Okay, that's a big word for me.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Roll with it.
And let me, there's one last one. This is a little more bombastic. It's called,
And bombastic's not a big word for him.
I
Go
was gonna
ahead.
say there.
well, so to give you a little insight, Kristen, I'm working on a book. I've been writing since the end of last year, 12/31/2019. I looked ahead, I said 2020, that's going to be an interesting year. So I wrote a poem on New Year's Eve, and it went like this. 2020 is perfect. A critical year for balance and resolve. American values will reign or American values will die. A critical year. We hail 2020.
Wow.
And
How appropriate is that?
Yeah.
well, the stuff just started falling out all out of my computer, on my notepad, it just rolled out.
But who would have thought? I mean, seriously.
We're either going to hail this year or hate it.
Just
Very
gonna-
good.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just so many, all the COVID stuff and the economy and what's happening with the politics and the division and the pain and sometimes the beauty. And so I got a chance to kind of document it throughout the whole year. Almost every day I'm writing. And so I'm hoping that at the end of this year, I can resolve and come up with the best stuff that I've come to write in 2020 and call it Haiku Poetry 2020.
Yeah. Isn't it?
The documentation of the entire year. That's going to be neat to read.
That'll be nice. Let's watch one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll read one last one if I can.
Go ahead.
It's called Haiku Poetry, Bullets, Ballots, and Voices. Bullets are necessary for gun owners to discharge their power. The Constitution protects their rights. No bullets, no bang. To control guns, control the bullets. Ballots. Ballots are vital for all voters to express their preference. The Constitution protects their rights. No ballots, no vote. To control voting, control the ballots. The last part, voices. Voices are critical for all citizens to protect their rights. The Constitution is always reliable. Radical judges, radical decisions. No relief, no progress to change politics. Lift your voices.
Yeah.
When did you write that, Tanoa?
When did I write it?
Yeah,
Recently, actually.
that makes sense.
So around election day.
Election day.
Yeah,
I figured, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot, and it's great. I'm alive. Sometimes I get a good response. Sometimes people go, "What are you talking about?" And sometimes it's very personal stuff, and then sometimes it's political stuff, and sometimes it's it's everything. So everything that I am is in my poetry. So it's very personal.
It's interesting to me that writers, if you're writing a novel, most likely part of who you are actually goes into that story. And you don't ever actually think of, and I'm looking at what I'm going to read for you guys in a little while. You don't actually consider that poets actually do the same thing. It's just in a different way. So it's cool. Let's get a woman in here. Patty, you go.
Okay, so I'm going to read from my son, Shaun's book. This is Hope in the Dark. He wrote this about a year ago. Actually, he he wrote the poems throughout probably the last 10 to 15 years. I will warn you, if you're skittish, you might want to, you know, plug your ears. He's a very eviscerating writer. He tells the truth as the way he sees life. So I will apologize ahead of time if there's some
That
offensive
puts the
word or
soul
what
in
have
it,
you.
Patty.
I'm sorry?
That puts the soul in it. So that's awesome.
He processes the world a little differently than the rest of us, and you'll see the difference between he and I. He got his writing from me, but not his style. So this one is titled Fallen Pride. Horsemen ride their color of choice, black for famine to wither crops, white for pestilence to bring forth hate, red for war to cause dismay, pale for death, balance in hand. These 4 horsemen shall rule the land. Soldiers stand to fight for truth, yet only corpses pile. Governments claim they'll keep you safe, but only if it benefits them a while. Give us your tired, hungry, poor. Bullshit, I say. You want another way to control some more. Rabid media, circling vultures, the carrion, the way of the world. Pick clean the bones of those whose tongues ring true to heaven's light. Only blood and sand, nuclear wastelands, they want your fallen pride. And I will say that he was a soldier. He was in the Cavalry Scout in the United States Military Army. And these are some of his reflections of how his experience was. And so when you were reading, John, and you were reading, Robert, your Memorial Day, I was thinking how different the military has become since those days of 1941. Right. It's kind of sad. We support the military in our family. We've always been a military family, but the differences ring true. And he writes about these a lot, even though they may be cloaked in his words. He does write his experiences. I'll read one more from his book, and then I'll just read one from my own. This one is titled Sulfuric Life. I see the fires burning in the night sky, chaos and heartache. Why do the innocent die? Suffering with no restraint. Inside the cosmos, a picture will paint. Twisted time will run you down, a watery grave in which to drown. Climb from the ashes, a phoenix with faith. Still the question, is it too late? Horror inside is what is next, a lifeless heart within a chest. A butterfly fresh from out of its cocoon, now a wolf enraged to howl at the moon. Serenity, a luxury one cannot afford. Internal turmoil inside oneself, this is war. Love your neighbor and love yourself. A man can truly ask for help. Bludgeoned to death by society's club, buried in the soil to sprout a shrub. Poisoned is the scent of flowers, growth within these sulfuric showers. So that is my son's mind.
Did he serve over in Iraq or Afghanistan?
He was on some missions that we're not aware of, but he came back with a Bronze Star, or was it a silver? I'm sorry, I forget which one it is. I'm nervous all of a sudden.
Right, either one of them is good.
He saved someone who was in very harm's way and came back.
Sounds just, if you don't mind me saying, it sounds like, I don't know, has he ever thought about, it's rather dark what he's doing. Does he have flashbacks in need of possible counseling?
He has been diagnosed with a form of PTSD, very severe, and he struggles a lot with that internal conflict.
Let me just make a suggestion to you.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of us who are veterans who meet weekly, and we sit and we talk. One of them who was over in Vietnam, and his wife said he was very, very angry. He got together with a bunch of guys where we can talk and there's no BS. I mean, you know, nobody tries to outdo anything. It's anyone from a sergeant all the way up to a general. And we meet on a weekly basis and talk. It helped him one hell of a lot. And I would suggest that if he can find a group that he can get together with, it would help him a lot.
My ex-husband, his father and I have talked to him about that. And there was a time he was in meetings for all of this internal turmoil that he endures. But his life kind of went haywire for a little while. And so he walked away from that. And he's just now getting his footing under him again. And so we're hoping that this new chapter in his life is going to help him. But thank you for the suggestion. He is aware that the help is out there, and unfortunately I can't force him or do it for him. So yeah.
You can't, but again, find 3 or 4 guys that get together and just BS. It makes a world of difference, believe me.
He joined a mixed martial arts group, and his sensei has been helping him immensely with his emotional conflict inside. So
I wish him well. I do too.
Thank you very much.
The writing helps too. It's a form of exorcism. You get that out of your system.
That's exactly.
He actually has started back up at doing that. So that's a good.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic. It really is. Yeah.
The sad thing is he only writes when he is going through something, and I would like to see him expand on that and write something when he's not in such conflict. But I think it is a great comfort to him to write his poetry, as dark and eviscerating as it is. There are far worse in there. I chose some of the tamer ones for you all. So I'm going to, now I do not have a book of poetry, although I do write poetry. I will show you 2 books. One is Grave and one is Reflection. This one is supernatural. This one is horror. So those are my little loves, but I love writing poetry on the side. So I'm just going to read you one of mine. And this one was, I was in conflict with a very close family member when I wrote this, but it's titled Wastelands. So it begins. The heart becomes barren wastelands of useless emotions when pain is caused and injuries happen. Words become knives, slicing into the emotional flesh that we once called love. Cleavers of carelessness are used to sever relationships, sever ties, chopping the trees of harmony, longevities between us, cutting short the lives of those involved. Lush landscapes, now barren wastelands. Stony hearts lay upon the hard ground, sucked dry, dying of thirst. Once teeming with grief, hope, memories, a holocaust obliterated all living feeling. Smoking and laying alone turned to burnt ashes. Saws have hewn once stalwart confidence, now idiots stumbling in the dark, aimless and blinded by misjudgment. Discord replaces harmonious melodic chords, disruptive gongs resound instead of serenity and peace. Nuclear annihilation of love, hopes, dreams. Nothing survives where radioactive winds blow. Dry, hot, barren air circulates, only to give lungs a function, keep the muscle of the heart beating, but no other purpose can it serve other than to maintain a beat. But for what credit? Words, misconceived ignorance created the wasteland of a heart and caused its death, ashes blowing into the poisoned winds.
That's good, Patty.
Thank you. I was having.
Have enough poems to put together a book?
I actually do, but
Yeah.
most of my poetry is from a very young age, and I will tell you it's not very good.
Well, that good works. That's how you do it.
I will keep at it. I do write. I have a happier one if you'd like to hear a quick happier one. Is that this is from a better day. It's very brief. It's titled Us, and I'll shut up after this. How deep is too deep when souls collide? When vibrations reach beyond physical boundaries to draw you in? When vibrations flow across gentle breezes in colors and music? When souls attached languish in front of astounding realization that your vibration matches my own and mine matches yours? When eyes lock and words are not needed, what then do we do with that? Deep are the ticks of a metronome, its pulse and rhythm to my beating heart. Keeping pentameter, yet loosely, so softly, unlike a soldier's metered beat. Ours is gentle, tender, like fawns birthing their newborn, like stars glittering across an indigo sky, like butterflies trusting the breeze, like the downy of a feather. We are the soft, the tender joy, knowledge that the unknowable exists, yet we exist, and the future only possibilities until our vibrations match, our colors complement, and hearts as metronomes beat in unison.
Nice. Very nice.
Pretty.
It is.
You.
Very cool.
Thank
When
you.
was that written?
I wrote that this past March.
Okay.
So I was in a very unfortunately that didn't fully blossom, but that's okay.
It actually did. If you
It
think
did.
about it, it did.
It did. It sort of changed my course a little bit, so which was to the better.
In a much better way.
Yes.
Very cool. Thank you,
Thank you
Patty.
for listening, everyone. I appreciate it.
Let's go to the young man, see what he has to say. Matthew, go ahead.
Oh, you're talking about me? I thought you were talking about.
You thought I was talking about myself, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about yourself or something, you know? I can't tell anything. Let me pull some stuff up.
Now,
Okay.
at your younger age, do y'all rap the poems these days, or do you?
Sometimes. No, I'm serious. Sometimes there's some singing in the poetry. Look at the
That's
world
cool.
top poetry slam poets. Like, some of those people do some crazy things in their poetry.
That's cool.
I really don't know though. I don't do that though. I can't.
I was going to say maybe one day we'll see Matthew rapping his poetry.
I am from small Midwest Iowa. All I got is cornfields to talk to, so I don't know much of that stuff.
According to King, they talk, so be careful.
Oh my.
Don't be shy.
This one's called Extraterrestrial Rays. A little bit longer. For 20 minutes a day, the sunlight caresses my skin, peeling off the numbness like the rind of a lemon. I'm stuck in this room, for I cannot leave, for I am not allowed to. I wish they could put me in a room with bigger windows so I could see outside, see the sky, see the ground, see the sun beating down, zesting the room around me, pero no. I'm stuck in here, for this is the only room they had for those staying long term. The sunlight crawls towards me curiously at the same time every day. I don't know what time it is exactly because there is no clocks in this room. Does time even exist if no clock is present? Its rays hit me ever so slightly. The apple-shaped sun shines through the glass and dips into my skin like caramel. Dust cuddles my body like cocoa powder. I hear other boys and girls in this place coughing, sick, just like me. I wrap my silver blanket over my shoulders closer and closer towards mi corazón. It's getting colder now. When I came here, the sun was high and drizzled the earth with a heat so hot, even the shade of the lemon trees wouldn't be enough to save you. The sun's rays sprinkle across your skin, leaving burned shoulders and noses. My caramel skin protects me from the sun's rays, so I never got burned. Not like my ma, who's much paler than me. I melt under the heat, skin shining, glistening in sweat. The light recoils slowly away from me, taking its warmth with it like a dog whose nose grows tired of smelling the roses. As it's getting colder and colder, I blow my blanket tighter and tighter. I wish they would give me another. I wish they'd give the baby crying in the place next to me another, for I believe they are cold just like me. Or maybe hungry. I do not know. My mama told me this place would be safe, that I could have a better life here. It would be better here than at home, burning under the lemon trees, that they could give me a future as bright as the star above, sprout and grow, for we have strong roots, but even stronger branches to climb onto. I didn't know I was going to be stuck in this chain link cartridge made for children. Children around me, coughing, sick, locked up in here with me. If I knew this, I don't think I would have come with Mama. I think I would have rather risked staying in the village back in El Salvador, burning under the lemon trees. I know Mama and Papa had no money left to give them. That's why they killed Papa. But I don't know if being stuck in a cage alone was worth it. I don't know if I'll be able to see Mama again. How long have I been here? I don't know, but it's cold now and it was warm when Mama and I slid through the tunnel. Mama, where are you? Save me from this cage, please, Mama. Did I do something bad? Mama, was this worth leaving the lemon trees? Are these people going to kill me like they did Papa? Mama, why does the sun take its warmth with it after kissing my skin? Por favor, eat the caramel away and let whatever is underneath catch flame if that's what it takes. Que sea, whatever. Just come and get me, por favor, Mama. Let's go back and burn under the lemon trees. Mama? Mama? ¿Dónde se fue el sol? Where did the sun go? Thank you.
Dude, I have chills. Oh
That needs
my
to be published.
Wow.
It seriously does.
That
Wow.
was written in a cage.
So
I'll tell you, young man, you got a future ahead of you. Stick
You
with
have-
it.
Yes.
Very
You
good.
have a
Very
good-
good.
Yeah.
I have a question. So what did you title that?
Extraterrestrial rays.
Oh, extraterrestrial rays. Okay,
Yep.
interesting.
Nice.
I did that because extraterrestrial, the term alien comes a lot in a lot whenever you're talking about people who are undocumented or from another
Right.
country.
Yeah.
Right.
Extraterrestrial and then rays because of the sunlight. Because
Yeah.
that's something that can sneak through, something that's able to enter into even the darkest of buildings. Just
Or
because
the
it's
darkest of hearts.
like immigrants, we're trying to get to this country because we see this place as another place we could come. We're a little light that's trying to help this country grow, but at the same time, we're not wanted. They close us out of the room.
You tell quite a story, young man.
I was just gonna say I'm very impressed with you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh.
is, I wrote that like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
don't,
Well done. Well
don't
done.
doubt your ability at all.
And that was definitely done in a rap style.
Yeah.
It's not a rap
Yeah.
style at all.
You just
It
need to
was.
put it
Yeah, it
like
is.
that.
He could do this, he'd be all into it. How many pieces, Matthew, how many pieces do you have?
A lot.
Put them together and send them to me.
I need to get them together. Like, I want them to all flow. I'm trying to rework my stuff because I want to really have. I don't want you to read a book of just poetry. I want you to have a journey. But I want you to have a journey. Like, that's why I really love John's poetry. Like, because it puts you in their seat and let you see the eyes. I want you to experience the journey of immigrants, of an immigrant maybe going through from their country to where they are now and everything in between. And that's what I'm really trying to work on right now.
So you put your story together and you make it cohesive, like your journey, just let it flow through the pages and then you submit it and see.
Yeah, when I was putting together my book, I printed out all the poems that I wanted in the book, which came to, I forgot what it was, maybe 70 or 80 of them. And I laid them all out. I had 80 of them in a row. And I just walked up and down and I looked at them and I said, okay, this one makes sense next to this one. And then I started separating things and I realized I had 5 or 6 different themes that occurred and they flowed. Then I moved 1 or 2 things around and the flow was beautiful enough where when it got towards the end of the book, everything that had been introduced prior to that suddenly wound itself together in the last 7 or 8 poems. It works, you know. Most people just put out a book of poetry and it's just scattered, but if you spend the time, like you say, you can lay it out. With what you've got right now, I'm sure you've got several themes that you can lay out in some sort of order that has a nice flow to it. Take a look at it again. Take a look at your work, lay it out, and just see what fits where. It's sort of like a puzzle that you're putting together. This piece fits here. It fits better over here. You'll get the feel of it. Just lay them out and take a look. I bet you got a pretty decent flow and several ideas going. that can wind themselves through a book.
70 to 80, that's a lot.
Well, yeah, but they're not that long. They're not as long as that. They're usually 1 and 2 page poems. Yeah. It's a lot easier. Yeah.
That was cool. That was very cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just one of my fun pieces. That's
Chella, do you have something? Oh, she's muted. There she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have 3 poems I think I'm going to read. The first one is entitled The Pond Heron. The dead don't write, but my cousin's letter arrives 3 days after he's blown away by some kid in his own platoon. Maybe another Georgia boy who's never been so far from home. So scared he shoots at anything moving in shadows. The letter feels light for my cousin's voice. He speaks of sheer petals rising out of muddy fields, spreading before the sun, of a copper heron in shallow water who dips his black-tipped beak to spear his prey. My second poem is entitled Jeopardy. My father built biceps working for U.S. Steel, smelting iron in heat that humbled men. Now I could break his arm over my knee, brittle as kindling. My father used to let me walk up his body, balancing my hands on his fingertips, till I flew from his shoulders. They began to sag after my mother passed. Rising at night, no moon out, she collapsed in the dark and never woke, as once my father fell when a clot in his head tossed him down. He speaks of my mother, rubbing his back with eucalyptus oil, and saves hair from her brush, strands he wraps in Kleenex. At night, with his whiskey, facing jeopardy, my father drifts off to Kargasok. In the Russian mountains, women live to be 105. So do their men, eating dried cod with mushroom tea, making love last forever. And my final poem is, I've worked on a reinterpretation of some Greek myths told from a woman's perspective. This one's entitled Eurydice. Women have cried over my confinement, and held by a husband who loved me so. He could not turn away, could not abide the caveat. Those long, dark days, underground, breathless. I have not lived yearning for him. I'm fine. Did you really believe he wanted me on earth with him? Orpheus, the beloved singer? What would he sing if I were there? For his song, he needed me buried beneath the crushing ground. Star-crossed love that could never vanish because it never was. He didn't desire a woman, bloody with menstrual rituals, whose body, once luminous, would be taken by time. Orpheus could not accept such a betrayal. He wanted me as nymph, not crone. Even more than age, he feared my voice, afraid it would rise above his. What did he know of suffering and forgiveness? I was the one severed from the sun, shut in subterranean darkness, barely enough oxygen. He could have joined me the day I descended, a knife to his throat, a serpent to his breast. But he did none of these. Came to me later by other hands. I have no use for him. Thank you.
Oh,
I love Greek tragedies. That just fits right in there. Wonderful.
that was neat.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Very nice, very nice.
I'm just taking all that in. That's
I
amazing.
know.
Wow.
Your
Well done.
first one really told a beautiful story.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, that really resonated with me. It reminded me of my grandparents and my great grandparents, and
Oh,
the eucalyptus oil really struck home. So,
good. I think that's what poetry should do.
I agree.
I agree.
You see, people from my generation, I grew up on Percy Jackson books, so we're all just like super educated on Greek myths. So that was like great.
Oh yeah.
We all love, like, you talk about Greek mythology to anybody around like my age, we're all like, oh yeah, there's like a whole book series on that, but I love it.
It's cool.
Thanks.
Ed, are you ready?
Sure.
You go next.
All right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to share two of my bed book poems, but I'm going to share a poem also that's in life itself to get away from the kid thing. But I'll start it with the kid thing because that's what I'm all about. So this one is called A Fairy's Tale. I wrote this one after going to the Poet Society. I got a chance to go compete at the International Poet Society. And I found out they were not looking for people with an agenda when it came to poetry. They were looking for the storyteller. And so that changed my poetry overnight. So this one's called A Fairy's Tale.
Okay, wait, before you go on. So Ed brought this book to me, and it's The Bed Bugs Bite. Don't let the bed bugs bite. My mother, when I was younger, always, when you would go to bed, always would say, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Right.
So when he said it to me, I'm thinking, this is going to be a really cool, really sweet story. You go ahead on now, Ed. Tell him the story.
Okay, this is what the first one's called, A Fairy's Tale. If the animals are whispering, as flowers do hush, voice not to speak, and turn from thus. If forests gleam at pitch black hour, sparkling and twinkling despite night's power, and in the sun blind you be, drawing the strength of will from thee, touch not, go not, turn away. The fairies are never there to play. You see, my friend, their trap is set, so mind your greed and take not step. For when they appear and you are caught, your spirit will leave this forest not. And as a rule of fairy law, a tree you'll be for one and all. So when you see and your eyes do pleasure, remember, it's your soul fairies deem as treasure. And so that's A Fairy's Tale.
Illustrations with that stuff?
Do what?
You have,
Now I've got stuff I've been able to get online that kind of goes with it. So I do have a picture with each poem in my kids' books to give the kids an idea of what it might be about before they start trying to read it.
Yeah.
And so my next poem I worked in a nursing home for almost 2 years, and I worked in the ward where the patients that were invalid that couldn't do anything on their own. And they really struck my heart. And so this one I wrote from the real world. It's called Shadowland. Simple things are to forget, never see a frown or fret. Last year's birthday, bills past due, little reminders just for you. Where did you put it? Last time seen. Come on now, remember these things? I'll repeat it again, once more still. I feel as if my guts will spill. Hard days are yet to come. Is it age or Alzheimer's drum? losing patience, how to cope. Many times my voice does choke. You've earned our loves in ways not shown, always together, yet alone. At times it hurts, others sting. My soul cries over these things. A face unsure, possible suggestion. If only you could remember the question.
Oh my goodness, Ed.
That's good.
So that's one of the ones that's really dear to my heart. And then this is from my bedbugs book, and this one, I love this little guy. He'd probably be a best friend of mine. You're not gonna like it. If you feel the hunger start and nothing tastes quite right, try these things he nibbles on when Tiny teethes at night. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he chomps and chews. Before you hunt and before you feast, your dribbling tongue must start in the middle, so hurry up and let's not piddle. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he chomps and chews. Now scatter the critters across the floor towards the walls and not the doors, grabbing and eating as they fight, the creepies, the crawlies, and those that bite. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he chomps and chews. Now, this is where the fun begins, feeling along the edges and corners, finding those creepies where they had crawled, away from the lips of the never appalled. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he chomps and chews. The walls are next, where some are vexed, for not all bugs are true. A few of them have different things they can jump and do. They'll fly away as you try to catch and lick them too. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he chomps and chews. Now the ceiling is a hard place where you can miss right out. But there is something in the room he can move about. A jumping bed for those that flew. To hoppity get them too. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he chomps and chews. Now here's a warning to Tiny's friends playing in his dinner room. There are things you must do so he doesn't feast on you. Always bring a bug or two. Some are crunchy, others goo. Tiny loves the popping ones when he jumps and chews.
Brilliant and sickening and frightening and we dream of bugs.
Not quite the message my mother was trying to tell me as I was going to bed.
I mean, it might be.
It's very possible.
Well, maybe that's what she meant, but you don't know.
That's true.
Well, that's what happens when you're raised on the Addams Family and the Munsters, and your dad takes you to see your first horror movie at 5.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. Very cool. Let's end with Ben. Ben, are you still there? I don't know if he's still there or not. Ben, are you still there?
Ben Rose. Oh, forgive me as the hour grows late and duty calls here on the home front, he wrote.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I see that. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So he's gone. So I'm going to tell you about Roy Jeffers. Roy Jeffers was one of the first poets that I published, and he has 3 books out. And I didn't realize when we were doing this that he was having such a hard time with life. After what had happened to him, he killed himself on his motorcycle. He ran himself into a telephone pole.
Wow.
And going through his poems, you can kind of it alludes to that he's not a happy man and doesn't know what to do with himself. And this kind of does. But at the end of each one of his books, he says, with your help, these words will never come to an end, which I thought was really kind of interesting. Yeah. And in doing this, because of what he did to himself, it kind of made me rethink the whole value of what we're creating with Breaking News Publishing, and make it something that's more than just people coming to me and I'm publishing their book and then sending them on their way. It's to do what we've been doing tonight and to come together as a community and actually learn from each other, find out who you are, and to know you so that we can help each other in the long run. So here we are. This one's called Time Spent, and I'm only going to do one because I just don't think I can. Time spent searching for moments of content, thinking about how the day went, refusing the negativity of the past as I vent. I may not have much time. My only wish was to share my love for the world with my words of rhyme. As I dwindle out of my prime, I'm still looked upon as a man of crime. But when I am gone, you'll all feel the love of my heart as the winds do chime. I'm not gonna do any more. He was a really cool man. So this was really nice, you guys. I really appreciate the fact that you came out. Matthew, are you still alive? Call me, email me with your stuff. Email me with your stuff. And we'll help you. All of us will help you through it.
Yes, awesome
right?
Potential.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
I'm trying out here.
Very cool.
Is Chella still there?
No,
Yeah,
Chella, she had to leave.
Okay. She reminded me of Maya Angelou when she was reading.
Yeah,
Both her voice and
Yes.
her tone and her message.
Yes.
I had at Riverside Church, I had a chance to meet Maya Angelou, and I had a chance to hear her.
Oh, I'm jealous.
She was on a.
Oh, she was wonderful.
She was on an oxygen canister at that point, near the end of her life, and as soon as her time was to get up and go to the podium, she put the canister down and she got up and she started reading and started talking, and it was wonderful to hear that energy and that point of view. And so hearing Chella's voice today, I was like, wow, it reminded me so much of that.
I wish she were here to hear you say that. She would be so honored and blessed by those words.
Mm-hmm. Well, pass it on to her.
We will.
We will. We will.
Being recorded. You see this?
Yes, absolutely.
It
All
is
right.
recording.
It is. Does anyone else have anything else they need to say?
I do stuff that's not in my Taiku format, which is completely different. And so at some point I'd love to share that. And I'm struggling with trying to combine the Taiku format with my free verse poetry, as I call it. And I'm not sure how to do that in one book or if I should. So that's what I'm kind of struggling with right now. So next time we meet, I'd love to share
That would be great.
the free verse.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're struggling to decide whether or not to mix the free verse with the
Yes.
haiku?
Yes, yes. Because I don't think the Taiku poetry has, what's the word I want to use?
Flow.
It's not where I want it to be yet. And I want to give that more oxygen so I can see it change. And so today I learned a lot of things from you guys.
They can be used as interludes in between some free verse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a breath, like a pause,
Mm-hmm.
here's direction that sets you up for a new set of free verse.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like subtexting in a sense. I've seen it before. A friend of mine has a book out which is basically a memoir, and it's just a bunch of vignettes, but he breaks them up with some haikus that he throws in there. And I looked at them. They didn't stand out to me as being odd. I just saw them as nice little pauses, like here's a nice little breath. So, but that's your call. You once you lay them out, like I was talking before about laying poems out and seeing how things flow, you can see, does this haiku fit right here after this piece or before this other piece, or should I not do that? Only you can tell. You'll get the feel because you wrote this stuff and you know the feel there. And so once you see them laid out, do they interlock? Do they help one another or do they hinder one another? Yeah.
Well, that's what I did with my first book, is that I took all the pieces and I realized that I had some that were multiple verses.
Yeah.
Some were about values.
Yeah.
Some were more about modern stuff. And that's how I laid the book out, and it worked for me.
Yeah.
What I'm struggling with, so 2020 is a very specific time period, and I don't want to lose that energy, because I think as it reveals itself, you'll see where I was looking, what I was seeing at the beginning of the year on until the end of the year. So it will either have some energy and dynamism, or it won't.
Yeah, and you don't want to disrupt it if you throw something in there that's kind of off kilter. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
From a performance standpoint, performance is like my main thing, if y'all didn't know. But from a performance standpoint, I know plenty of I don't know plenty, but I know some at some open mics, virtual open mics I've been going to, that some artists like to open up with a haiku before they hit them with a really heavy piece to get the reader or the listener ready. They hit them with a haiku, or I guess in your version it's like a taiku, just to get them prepped for what they're about to hear.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
So with your book of taiku from 2020, as a reader, not an editor, as a reader, I'm looking forward to reading that story from haiku number 1, December 31st, 2019, and traveling
every day,
just a very steady journey to December 31st, 2020. So that's just my perspective. I think that I would love to see that journey unfold, your perspective each and every day, and how
Thank you for that, because that was my original thought.
I think it would be awesome.
As I realized that I was writing almost every day about so many things I was watching and seeing, and that I had something to put together. And I don't know what it is yet, because I'm not going back now and looking at it. I'm just writing.
But to me, that is a story that you are telling in taiku format, but every day it's a page of that story. And I'm excited. I got very excited when you were initially telling us about it, that I want to read that journey,
whole journey
of your perspective of 2020.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for writing it. I can't wait.
I just want to say something to Matthew. I'll be 79 on Christmas Day. And I've been writing for a long time. I worked in television journalism for a long time. And my first poem was one called Polka Dots and Moonbeams. And I wrote it when I was living in Jamaica, West Indies in 1984. I still don't know what it says.
Oh my.
And I go back and I look at it and I kind of go, what am I trying to say? Well, I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't figure out what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying to you is just keep writing. Don't let it flow, let it come out, and it will become clear to you what it is or what value that's for you first, and then hopefully for other people as they read it.
That's
Go ahead, Matthew. I was just going to say there might have been some Rastafarian leaf involved in that poem, so you might have to go back and relive the moment.
And Matthew, you may never find the poignancy of something that you write, but if it touches one other mind or soul, then you've done what you were meant to do on your journey. So
see, I tend to write things to perform it. I'm a theater major, guys, so that kind of explains my background.
I understand that.
Forever.
I get that. Even when I'm writing my novels or my books, I'm not writing them from whatever. I have a movie that's going on up in my head, and that's the way that all flows through.
Yes.
So I totally understand that.
Writing to perform and writing to read are two different types of writing.
Oh, absolutely.
So trying to change my performance stuff into now written stuff is just kind of, it's a process to do.
Well, why do you need to change it, to be honest?
It doesn't make...
Well, I'm going to have to leave. I wish
Thank you for coming, John.
Good night, John.
See you later, John.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for sharing.
John, nice meeting you.
Good night.
Just a format, structure. A lot of things don't make sense when you're like, there's notes in the margins about how to perform it. Like you can't have that when you're doing it, when you're trying to read it, because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because some of the times when you read it, it's the flow that makes it readable, but that's going to be kind of difficult to put into the book because they can't hear your emotion involved. So I get that.
Like, if I want to, even that piece I just read, like, there's so many different ways you could do that I try to do it a little bit different every time. So, like, the first line, for 20 minutes a day, the sunlight caresses my skin, peeling off the numbness like the rind of a lemon. You can, like, sometimes for some of my pieces, let's say, you could triple that. So, for 20 minutes a day, for only 20 minutes a day, the sunlight caresses my skin, peeling off the numbness like the rind of a lemon. See, if I wrote that like that, though, it just doesn't make sense reading it, because then it just looks like I just wrote the same thing over and over and over again, when I didn't intentionally do it for that reason.
But it totally takes you in a different direction.
Right.
Yeah, it changes the direction I want to take it, though.
Write your poems and send out a disc with it that they can play that kind of music in the background that has that feel and flow.
Do you know how many books there are that do that? Really?
I've never heard of that.
Yes. People send CDs along with, so that I need you, and they say, I need you to listen to this music while you're reading this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually own one of those books. It's called The Third Wish. It is, and I gave it to Christopher for his birthday, and when they moved to Italy, he returned it because the tome is like this thick. I mean, literally this thick, you know. But it comes with CDs that you are meant to play as you read, and it is a bizarre novel, but so beautiful, and it's telling. And when you reach that end, if you don't expound some incredible emotion, you are dead inside. That's all I'm saying. But with that disc playing, that's, oh my God, it was just brilliant. So do that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one uses really CD much.
Hello. I'm old. I listen to CDs all the time. I cannot figure out Pandora and Django and all that other crap. I can't.
Last time I used a CD.
Dude, I have a whole thing.
A rack of them.
Christmas CDs, because I can't do the online music. I can't figure it out. So,
okay, I think the last time I even put in a CD was 2012.
This is not a good Christmas present, Matthew. You're making me feel ancient.
Well, the age of digital media.
Well, look, you've got YouTube. You've got, what other apps are there? YouTube,
Spotify, Apple Music.
You know what? You don't even have to send it with. You can just say,
the link.
Listen in the beginning. You can just say, while you're reading this book, listen to these songs or listen to this music, and then you're indicating how they need to do it.
Right.
And it'll be great.
Or upload the music to YouTube so they can.
Yeah.
Or
send a link with the book, and they can pull it up on YouTube. Click the link, and
it's like
there
a
you go.
Oh, you could do a QR code. You can just
yes.
QR code. You take a picture with your phone, and a link pops up. You click the link.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea.
I would not do that because I'm afraid of getting viruses and hacks and stuff. Okay, so I will confess,
So we see where all this
maybe 7 years ago, but
I'm a cinder block when it comes to electronics. So.
Thank you all for coming. This has been really fantastic.
Thank you all for sharing.
Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all for sharing. Good night.
Good night.